Now on Denver 7 News, the fight for gun reform continues across the country, right here in Denver.
Cora shouldn't have to be scared to go to school, to go to the grocery store, to go to church, to go to any of those places.
And while Colorado cities are passing their own gun laws, all of it might come to a stalemate.
It looks like it would be severely under attack, or at least significantly threatened, if the court was to go so far as to say you can only ban weapons, if at all, in sensitive places.
We take a look at how a Supreme Court decision may put these ordinances in jeopardy. And a big day for the Avs. The team now knows who and when they'll be playing for the Stanley Cup.
Good evening and thanks for joining us for Denver 7 News at 10. I'm Bayan Wang. It's a night of celebration for the Avs. Die-hard fans can now get their gear out for the Stanley Cup Finals. Game 1 will be against the Tampa Bay Lightning on Wednesday, June 15th, right here at Ball Arena. The game will start at 6 p.m. and we'll have full coverage of the games right here on Denver 7. In just a few minutes, the Denver 7 sports team will have all the highlights for the game that brings us to this revelation. All right, some developing news tonight. Police are investigating a possible road rage shooting in Aurora. Police say the shooting happened near Chambers and Evans, where all lanes were closed for several hours. Police say one man was taken to the hospital with serious injuries, but is expected to survive, and no arrests have been made. And choppers at an Aurora Target store were shaken tonight after reports of shots being fired in the parking lot. This is video a viewer took from inside the store. Customers were sent into the back storage room while police investigated what happened. Police say no one was injured.
Enough is enough! Enough is enough! Enough is enough!
A call to action echoes across the country today as more than 400 March for Our Lives rallies demanded Congress to take action on gun control. It's the second time the student-led movement is taking on Washington, D.C. The first one was, of course, in 2018 after the deadly high school shooting in Parkland, Florida. Today, protesters demanding lawmakers to take note of a shifting public opinion and finally enact sweeping reforms.
We are here to stand with those who are bold enough to demand sensible gun legislation that will help to reduce the gun violence in our communities, that will stop the slaughter of our most precious commodity, people, human beings, sisters, brothers, fathers, grandparents.
Meanwhile, hundreds of people attended the March for Our Lives rally in Denver today. It took place at Civic Center Park. State and national lawmakers were in the audience, along with people that have been impacted by gun violence. One of them was 17-year-old Lucy Sarkisian, a survivor of the STEM school shooting in Highlands Ranch several years ago.
We are here to stand with those who are bold enough to demand sensible gun legislation that will help to reduce the gun violence in our communities, that will stop the slaughter of our most precious commodity, people, human beings.
House Democrats passed the Protect Our Kids Act earlier this week, which is a sweeping gun reform measure. But the bill is expected to fail in the Senate, where negotiators are working on a more modest measure. In the wake of several high-profile mass shootings, many communities in Colorado are adopting stronger gun control measures. This week, the city of Boulder passed 6 gun ordinances, including the ban of selling and possessing assault weapons and raising the purchasing age to 21. The ordinances also create a 10-day waiting period before someone can purchase a firearm. Now, while these ordinances easily pass city councils, their legal future may be in jeopardy. Denver 7's Rob Harris explains.
The Supreme Court's gotten a lot of attention recently after its leaked draft opinion overturning Roe v. Wade. But there's another ruling expected any day, and it could have big implications for gun measures being passed in Colorado right now.
Mayor, the 6 ordinances related to gun violence prevention were passed unanimously.
City councils in Boulder and Louisville this week passed new gun control ordinances, including bans on assault weapons and restrictions on carrying guns in certain public places. But these ordinances could come up against the upcoming Supreme Court ruling in New York State Rifle and Pistol Association Incorporated versus Bruin.
The court is looking at a law that's been on the books in New York for over 100 years that requires a person who is asking for a concealed carry permit to show cause as to why they need it for self-defense.
Ian Farrell is an associate professor at the DU Sturm College of Law. He and most scholars studying the case are convinced the court will strike down the New York law.
The only question is really how broad and sweeping will their opinion be? If the opinion is handed down in such a way that calls into question some of the laws and ordinances here in Colorado, then that would allow for a challenge to be made against those laws here in Colorado.
In particular, Farrell says laws that restrict guns in specific places, like public parks or gatherings, could be in question based off oral arguments in the case.
That looks like it would be severely under attack, or at least significantly threatened, if the court was to go so far as to say you can only ban weapons, if at all, in sensitive places.
Professor Farrell expects this ruling to be written responding to New York's gun laws specifically, so they wouldn't necessarily overturn Colorado's gun measures immediately. However, these measures could be challenged by lawyers in the next term, and they could point to the decision in this case. For Denver 7, I'm Rob Harris.
Rob, thank you. In the meantime, the Broncos teamed up with Aurora and Denver City Council members to host a gun buyback event. They partnered with the nonprofit Raw Tools, which melts down the donated guns into garden tools. The buyback is a drive-through event, meaning you can give back guns while remaining completely anonymous.
The goal here is to reduce the number of unwanted firearms in the community. The data shows us that most firearms used in crimes are stolen from people who don't store them correctly, either in their cars or in their homes. And so this is a way for folks who have firearms that they don't need or want to bring them in and have them destroyed.
Over 111 firearms were collected today, including a dozen assault rifles. The next buyback is July 16th at the Park Hill Golf Course. New at 10, police in Idaho arrested 31 members of the white supremacist group Patriot Front near a Pride event. The members came from 11 different states, including Colorado. Police say the members were packed in the back of a U-Haul truck with riot gear. Officers believe the group was planning to riot in several areas. All 31 members were charged with conspiracy to riot, which is a misdemeanor. The men are scheduled to be arraigned on Monday. Today, City Park turned teal for Jody's Race, the second largest ovarian cancer run and walk in the country. Our very own Jacqueline Allen emceed the event. As participants walked, they carried mementos and pictures of loved ones who they've lost. Ovarian cancer is the deadliest kind of cancer impacting the female reproductive system. It ranks 5th in cancer deaths among women. Money raised from the race goes to the Colorado Ovarian Cancer Alliance. And dozens of people in Edgewater braved the heat to check out the 27th annual Philippine Festival. The festival commemorates Philippine independence from Spain in 1898. The Filipino American community of Colorado puts the event together every year, sharing their culture with food, music, and dance performances. The FACC is 100% volunteer operated and one of the oldest Asian American communities in Colorado. Coming up, going out for one last ride, we take a look at Northern Colorado tradition that's raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for kids in need. Plus, Avs fans can now bust out some gear. Game 1 against the Tampa Bay Lightning is on Wednesday at Ball Arena. What this matchup will look like coming up in sports.
And good evening to you, Colorado. It was a scorcher of a Saturday. We hit 100 degrees in Denver. It'll stay hot tomorrow and Monday with a few storms popping up in the afternoon. I'll take you through the full forecast when we come back.